So, welcome back to another episode on our little roller skate, our 1990 NA6. So I realized in the last episode, I kind of forgot to mention as to why we actually got an NA6. So 90 to 93 Miatas come with a 1.6 liter. So a little bit of backstory on that was the original thought behind the project outside of the whole streetcar golden era JDM thing was I originally started in Miatas with an NB2, so that's an 01 to 05 1.8 liter with variable valve timing. And a lot of people in the Miata community kind of look down on 1.6s, mainly because of lack of power and a variety of other reasons. And so the original thought was to adapt that VVT system onto the 1.6. So those first couple months of owning the car, I actually pursued that idea, and there were certain things that didn't end up working out, at least for where the car is at right now, to want to continue on with that. And because of that, we started looking at new avenues as to what we could do. So what we ended up coming up with after looking through some old catalogs and seeing what people have modified in the past, old YouTube videos from a variety of companies, we started seeing that a big thing that was happening with 1.6 liters back in the day was people were grabbing just your traditional long block, pulling out the stock pistons and boring out the motor to a 1.7 liter. So to give you an idea, the factory Miata piston on a 1.6 liter is 78 mil, and all these companies were stepping it up to an 81 mil piston, which if you do the math with the 83.6 mil stroke and a new 81 mil bore, gives you about a 722 to a 723 cc displacement. So just a little bit over 1.7 liters. And we started looking at this as a potential option for the car. You know, a little bit more displacement, gives you a little more torque. You're not really sacrificing any of the rev because you're going to have a newer piston. You can start changing compression. So what we ended up doing was getting in touch with Wiseco or Wiseco, however you guys want to pronounce it. I kind of go both ways. We ended up getting in touch with Wiseco and had a custom piston made. So this is still in the works. They haven't completely shipped in yet. It is in the process of getting made. So thank you to Wiseco. We have an 11.5 to 1 custom piston being made in that 81 mil format for our little roller skate that will eventually go into a long block that right now is kind of spending some R&R at our machine shop. And so once that gets in, you guys are going to see the whole process behind it. Not really any of the machine work, but a lot of the assembly work. We're still on the fence on if we're going to sleeve the block or not. It's a little bit of a fine line. We don't have to do any kind of custom head gasket work, but the walls do get somewhat thin, and it's something that we're going to look into once it all gets bored out with the current setup. If we feel the need to go to a sleeve, we'll do that with a revision. But right now, we're just super stoked to work with Wiseco and have these pistons being custom made for us, custom spec. And a quick thank you to everyone that's been helping out with that side of it. I'm by no means someone that feels like doing that kind of math to figure out exactly what we need in that regard, and the engineers at Wiseco really made it a smooth process to just get it in, figure out from a standard piston that they actually already had made, just stepping up some of the figures to what would really work with us and our setup. This car is never really going to be a track car. It's not something that's going to live its whole life all the way at the top of the RPM range. So we still want some streetability to it. We're not going to have some 5-pound flywheel, a super high compression, race gas, like none of that. Just something that has a good little pep in its step over the stock setup. And just like we mentioned before, enjoy it in the twisties. Outside of that side of the update, now that you guys kind of know where the car stands overall, there hasn't been too much progress over the holidays and throughout January outside of some aesthetic updates. So there's nothing currently on the car that's been changed. It's been a lot of stuff that's being collected for the car. So Originally, we wanted to get an RSI Zawa bumper, which Chris at Vintage Driver Parts helped us source. Bumper came in. Obviously, it's 20-something years old at this point. And he was already expressing to us the fact that this isn't a mint bumper, and fair enough, he was 100% correct. And I love the way that bumper looks. It's one of my favorite bumpers that you could really get for the Miata. And so we had it sitting around for maybe a week, just did some test fits. And after that, I've been eyeing this bumper on Craigslist since about summer. Made by a company out of Canada that went defunct around 2000, 2001 called Minam. Most people might know Minam in the Subaru community for making turbo kits way back in the day, but they did expand to various other Japanese companies, and Miatas happened to be one of the cars that they decided to touch. And so they made this really special front bumper that is really hard to find. Because of the company being gone for so long and people getting into accidents and things getting destroyed, there weren't that many of these bumpers made in the first place. And so it's speculated to be one of only two left. The other one is owned by a shop out in Florida, and now we have our hands on a Minam bumper for roller skate. So we've actually ended up putting the RSI Zawa bumper up for sale. It's a cool bumper. Chris is a great dude for being willing to source it for us, but it's got to go. I don't feel like playing musical bumpers, switching back and forth. And I think the Minam bumper is going to fit a lot better with our end goal aesthetic for the car. On top of that, we also did get Cusco sway bars for the car. They're just waiting to go on whenever we feel like tinkering with the car. And we also did get a Jackson Racing header secondhand. And of course, it has the usual hairline crack that happens for whatever stress reason. That's all fixed and welded up, and it's ready to go on. So I just wanted to touch bases with everyone. You guys get to kind of see what's going on. I know that I said this wouldn't really be a weekly or a monthly or bi-monthly sort of thing, but I figured there was enough progress going on that you guys would enjoy seeing some of it. Outside of that, we're just working away, waiting for the pistons to arrive, waiting to take them to the machine shop so the long block, or the short block technically, can start going together. We're going to send the head off eventually to be ported and polished. Nothing super crazy, like I said, not a race motor by any means. Just trying to extract a little bit more out of the 1.6. Outside of that, there are some things cooking that I will probably address in the next video, and you guys are really going to like that. It's in the aesthetic regard to the car. Some of you that have been watching Instagram may notice that we've been working very closely with Bomex USA, so I'll just leave it at that. As always, guys, thanks for watching and enjoy the visuals.
She's faced the hardest time you could imagine. No, no. She's faced the hardest time you could imagine.